Herb. Herb is a plant. I mean, herbs are good for everything. Herb.
Well, welcome back to the Eugene Cannabis TV show. You made the trip, and we've got a Shawn Flury, one of my heroes and an activist, and known to burn a little cannabis now and then.
That's true. It's very true.
And been known to grow it once in a while, too.
Been convicted of all those.
Yeah, actually a POW, yes. I think there should be some kind of a special status once we do get it legalized so that everybody will know that you're a real hero in the POW.
Well, you know, I've always said that, you know, one day, I think I said at the federal building a couple of years ago that, you know, we're going to have a Hall of Fame someday here in Oregon. And, you know,
yeah.
and of course, to me, you're right up there in the top 10. So,
well, yeah. my brother John had a good one. He said, reparations for all the drug war victims that are still alive.
Yeah, just give me my weed back, Clackamas County. That'd be fine with me.
Yeah. That's anyway. Well, we appreciate you coming in, and we've had some footage. I don't remember what year that was. Do you remember offhand when that was?
Yeah, that was the year that I went to prison. That was 2004. Some of that was shot with Eileen, right in the garden in Independence, which was our office at the time for Oregon Green Cross.
Eileen Erdelf, the producer, was a producer years ago at the show, and I co-host later. Shot some great footage with Shawn, an outdoor grow, and Shawn was showing you how to grow it outdoors and how to grow it very, very reasonably, and that was the thing that really caught my attention, is how reasonably can you grow it?
Well, now everything's different, but you know, if you can grow outdoor and you can mix your soil yourself and mix your bat guanos, bird guanos yourself, you can get that cost down. I'm going to say probably $50 a pound, and that's a true fact. We often can grow multiple pound plants for a plant that costs $100, get 4 or 5 pounds off of. So you do the math. I've showed it on TV before that it's very cheap, and I don't know why we're just not all doing the same thing. Give it away for free, grow it for free or cheap.
Yeah, it's like the book says. Actually, there is a children's book. It's called "It's Only a Plant." Did you hear about that?
No, I haven't.
Yeah.
But it is a plant, and you know, of course, I am organic all the way and mix everything organically, but it's really not that expensive when you do it yourself, and that's the truth. And of course, some of those shows that we're going to re-show now, they show you how to mix these soils. It's easy. We tell you where to get it, exactly show you the box, the package, so you know exactly what you're getting, and explain to you why you're using it. You know, that like Jersey green sand is a very good magnesium, time-release magnesium, and that's, you know, we explain some of this and why you're using it, so you just aren't using it blindly, trying to educate you at the same time of, you know, what is pH balance? You know, well, it's just not an acidic level, it's actually the feeding of the plant. It's like feeding an Ethiopian a steak dinner. You'd kill him, and if your plant doesn't have the pH right, well, you're just not going to be able to feed that plant, no matter what fertilizer you give it.
Yeah, and the interesting thing about the video is it shows all the high-tech equipment that you need, like a kid's wading pool.
A 5-foot swimming pool and a shovel, and a couple buddies, you know, with beer, of course, and you know, you can get the job done.
Yeah. I know, and that's what kills me. I now have access to expert growers like Shawn. I have access to probably the best cuttings on the West Coast. I have a perfect place to do it, except the landlady won't let me. So there I am, just dead in the water. It's just,
Yeah, well, you know, you said it earlier on the first segment that, you know, that's where we educate. And I know you're probably working her every day trying to make her realize, get in there and help us out. Because we need everybody, and we all need medicine. Well, the medicine can come that maybe not straight through you. Maybe it comes from the property you have that you could lease to a guy that is going to turn around and help as many people as possible. Those kind of things. Maybe you're not the grower, maybe someone else is, but you might have a part in there. that you could play. And that's what we need. Everyone just come forward and do what you can do.
I gave her a medicated cookie once, and
Is that what scared her?
no, well, she was scared to begin with, but she was having some real pain and having trouble sleep at night. And I said, look, I got this marijuana cookie. I said, try part of that, take a quarter of it, and eat that, and then wait half an hour, and so the next morning she gives me the cookie back. It was broken into 4 pieces, and there was one little part broken off at one point, you know. And she said, well, it made me nauseous, you know. So she's more scared of anything else.
I think that's
And so a few months later, she went through the same thing again. I had another cookie, and she said, well, the other one didn't taste very good. And I said, I know, this one's made by somebody else, and this one is made by our friend Sonny that I spoke of earlier, actually. Anyway, it's a chocolate chip cookie, you know. She ended up eating part of it, and she said, oh, it made me nauseous, and I threw it up. But I slept really good that night.
Had some absorption from the THC. That's good.
Yeah,
That's good.
Yeah.
Well, that's what we have to do, is educate everybody, old and young alike.
Definitely. I get phone calls because my phone number is on the national website. So when people call Eugene, Oregon Normal Chapter, they call me, and it's interesting because I'm meeting people or hearing from people that never thought they'd have anything to do with marijuana, and then they get an ailment. And then somebody tells them about marijuana, they try it, and then they're amazed. And so then they're not only wanting to know how to get their card, where to get it, they become advocates.
Yes, that's true. And you know what was funny is I helped out at the booth this weekend, and I met so many people just coming out of the woodwork, people you'd never guess that were wanting information and everything else. It's just amazing how far this has come since '98. Some of us that have been in it since '98 are just like, you know, we foresaw this, but it's still shocking that, you know, on some shows we've said before, you know, I think that we're going to overrun the government eventually here. We're going to outgrow these guys, and I think that tide's really close. The numbers are just huge.
Overgrow the government.
Yeah.
It's one of the themes that they talk about. Yeah, well, you know, things looking better now than I've ever seen them.
Yeah.
California has a legalization initiative on the ballot. That's a first.
Yeah, from a Republican governor. That's amazing.
Yeah. So I'm amazed to see what happens. Hopefully we'll get our initiative, the dispensary initiative, on the ballot in Oregon. It's too bad we don't have a legalization initiative on the ballot, but that's another story. Hopefully in 2012. Of course, you know, back in 2000 I was advocating for legalization, and my peers are telling me, well, it's too early yet. The poll numbers aren't up. It's too early to try for legalization. And I said, oh, okay, what do we do? And he said, well, we need to wait until, you know, next year or 2004, you know. And I said, well, I tell you what, and I'm still saying this, why don't we wait till 2020? Because think of the slogan in 2020. 420 in 2020, you know, so let's wait till 2020,
Well,
as long as we're sitting there on our hands doing nothing, you know. It's just
I've known you for a few years, and you've never heard me say anything but legalization. We've got to legalize it, and the whole point of it is sending people to prison for growing a plant and having them stuck in a little box with a guy named Bubba or, you know, whatever. And that's the point, is, you know, being stuck in a place with a person that are real criminals when all you did was grow a plant. That's a shame.
Seattle Hemp Fest had the great slogan. It said, no prison for pot.
It's true.
And in fact, that was the CD they put out that they produced about them putting on the event, and that was the title of it, No Prison for Pot, which actually inspired us to make it do our Hemp Fest, but that's another story. Yeah, it's a freedom issue, and our friend Bobby Sixcrows, I quote him many times. He says, if we're going to make a plant illegal, let's make something illegal that we can all get behind, like poison oak. You know, let's make it illegal to have poison oak. If you have it on your property, you know. So
that'd be a heck of a fight in some parts of the state.
Yeah.
But the point of it is, you know, we shouldn't illegalize anything. It's a constitutional issue. The point of all of it is freedom, obviously, and I see nowhere in the Constitution where it says that my point of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness is, you know, you have the right to impose your will upon my happiness. I don't see that anywhere in that Constitution. Of course, the lawyers and judges and district attorneys will tell you otherwise. And
yes. Yeah, well, my motto is just say no to drug testing.
Amen.
You know, some people say, well, we need to drug test law enforcement officers. We need to drug test No, we need to we need to just forget about drug testing. The only people that make money, the only people that benefit from drug testing is drug testing companies. And do you know that there is a lobby group for drug testing manufacturers
Oh,
to
yeah.
lobby the government to make more, yeah.
It's
And
true.
now Orrin Hatch, our old, was it, yeah, Orrin
Utah,
Hatch,
yeah.
Utah,
Republican
he
Utah.
wants to drug test welfare
Oh my God.
welfare recipients. Yeah, they have benefits. You got to take a drug test.
Yeah, the world's coming to an end in the handbasket, and we don't have nothing else to do.
Yeah.
But compassion, no compromise. That's my motto.
Okay, yeah. Okay, I think our tape's about to run out, so before it starts flapping in here, it's flapping on plap, 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 plap like the old days, we probably get it going. So thank you so much, Shawn, and it's been an honor, and we always appreciate it when Shawn comes by to see us, so we're out of here.
Thank you.
Are you tired of following all the rules? Ready to let loose? Have a little fun? Sounds like you need to. Get high. And with Narcomex Incorporated, your direct-to-consumer drug trafficking solution, you can. Narcomex values your business. That's why we're your #1 supplier of drugs, and you're our #1 consumer. These billions can't be wrong. We work hard for your business and have killed not 1, not 2, but 3 Mexican police and 2 journalists just to keep you high with that very joint. Why, our commitment to keeping you supplied has killed over 17,000 people right next door. Traffickers, soldiers, journalists, prosecutors, you name it. We're that passionate about your business. We've even begun to destroy some of your favorite tropical beach destinations. Because if you smoke enough at home, you don't even need a beach. But don't legalize it or grow it at home. Let us do the work for you. Sure, consumers boycotted evil companies, but there's no need to boycott Narcomex Incorporated, your direct-to-consumer drug trafficking solution, also offering heroin, meth, and cocaine. Narcomex Incorporated. Live a little, and forget others won't.
Senator Bennett said that if the 2,700-page bill turns out to be a bust, well, we'll go back and look at it. I think everyone who's involved in politics knows that once you pass this, to be able to retrench from this will be very difficult.
All right. Well, I was hoping that this would be about free market reforms as opposed to insurance entitlement.
I was hoping it would be about pot, because because that is your issue. I remember you were on my old show. I mean, that's going back a ways.
It's going back a ways.
You must have, I think you were just out of office, right?
Actually, just still in office. Still in office.
But you didn't come out for legalization while you were in office.
For 4 years.
That would be spooky.
For 4 years, I advocated the legalization of marijuana while I was governor of New Mexico.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let me give you a
And of course.
While in office.
While in office.
But you yourself do not partake of the wacky tobacco.
No.
Because you're from New Mexico and you're on the peyote. No.
Well, when we talk about legalizing pot, look, never legal to smoke pot, become impaired, get behind the wheel of a car. Never legal to smoke pot, become impaired, do harm to others.
But what we're talking about now, what we think may have changed, is it may not be the third rail issue it always was. 5 years ago, only 36% of people in this country thought it was a good idea to make it legal. Now it's 44%. 81%, that's a pretty high number, think it should be legal medically across the country. 94% think it's okay to get the dog high. But what has changed? Is it the revenue angle? Is it the fact that we're broke now?
No, I found the issue, again, as governor of New Mexico for 4 years, really it was about 3 years and 8 months that I advocated the legalization of marijuana. I found this to be a really thin ice issue, that with just a little bit of knowledge, that it's an educational issue, that people are becoming more knowledgeable about this, what this is really about. I also would agree with you, Bill, this is at a tipping point. Nationally, 44%, a couple months ago, 44% said that they think that marijuana should be legal. Well, that's never been that close before. And when 56% of the population says to 44% of the population they belong in jail for their activity, that's bad law. So this does need to get changed. Massachusetts, this last general election, voted 65 to 35 to decriminalize marijuana. Since they've done that, there has not been a single incident in Massachusetts.
And the arguments against what you're saying I mean, we've heard them over the years. They've never made sense. I mean, to rehearse the old arguments that marijuana is not as harmful as legal liquor and legal tobacco, at this point they seem so stale. I'm bored with myself hearing them, and yet I have to keep saying them because these things haven't changed.
And people are dying from prescription meds left and right, and you OD on some prescription meds, and you die. And with marijuana, you smoke too much, you eat a lot, and you go to sleep.
Yeah, I mean,
That's what happens.
So why does your boy Obama and his administration, they're not even for medical use of marijuana?
Look, I think the reality is you're not going to see very many politicians, Governor, you accepted, advocating the legalization because very quickly they can be charged of advocating the use of. And there are a lot of parents who, while they may say live and let live, and if you're an adult you can make these kinds of decisions for yourself, which I believe, that they don't want the cultural norms shifting where marijuana use then just becomes kind of a regular thing that you hang out with.
Already a regular thing.
It may be, but there are a lot of parents who don't want to see this cultural line shifting toward drug use. It's just that simple politically.
I haven't had a drink of alcohol in 22 years. Best decision.
See me after the show.
Best decision that I ever made. And by the way, I'm not advocating people smoke marijuana. I choose not to smoke marijuana. But would the world be a better place if no one were allowed to drink alcohol? Yes, it would be. If we passed a law and nobody drank, would the world be a better place? Yes, but we tried that. We tried that and it didn't work, and I don't know why we can't make the same correlation.
I don't even agree with that premise. Should they overdrink? Yes, then the world is a worse place. But I think there's a reason why there are things on the earth to get you fucked up, because the earth is a tense place. People do need to take the edge off. They do. You know, I mean, I would never say that liquor is good for you. It's not. It's absolute poison, but it's a relative thing. Studies have shown...
Actually, one glass of red wine apparently is supposed to have healthful benefits.
That's the doctors that drink wine.
Yeah. Liquor's liquor. It's all poison. But you know what? You got to pick your poison. And when people are very tense, this is a very stressful country. By the way, it wouldn't be if we had universal health care. If we paid for college tuition, if we had 6 weeks paid vacation like Europeans do, people wouldn't be so tense, they wouldn't be so sick, and they wouldn't need so many drugs. But that's an issue for another day. But let me get back to what I was asking. Why is the Obama administration so dragging their feet on this issue? Tom McClellan, who's again, not even for medical marijuana. What do you got there?
$100 trillion note from the Bank of Zimbabwe, where if we adopted everything it is that you're saying, Bill, that's where our currency is.
Zimbabwe, my favorite European country.
$100 trillion note.
But that's your example against what anybody says, what's going on in Zimbabwe?
No. Just the fact that we're running up such a debt. That the ramifications of the inflation that's going to go along with that are going to be enormous.
But Governor, with all due respect, you're talking about debt, and if you just look at the numbers, over the past 40 years during Republican administrations, compared to GDP, the debt was much higher than Democratic administration.
No, I agree. Republicans have a share in this. Absolutely
and
have a share in this. No question about it. I'm embarrassed by the deficits that were run up during the previous administration.
I want to bring up this issue because I think, as long as we're talking about health care, this is the ultimate health care issue. The environment. And here's the Weekly Standard, which is the Bible of conservatives. I mean, there's Al Gore, you see, exposed. Gotcha. See, it snowed this year, so Al Gore's a douchebag. Case closed on climate science. And this is my question for conservatives. Don't you want to live too?
Personal Choice segment tonight. Does the government have a right to stop you from taking drugs? Celebrities like Sting and Montel Williams recently made a commercial funded by a George Soros organization telling Americans they should be allowed to do pretty much what they want in the consumption of narcotics.
I support the Drug Policy Alliance because I believe in the right to sovereignty over one's own mind and body.
Because I believe in personal freedom and personal choice.
Because the war on drugs represents an extraordinary violation of human rights.
Because whether you use drugs or not, you deserve to be treated with respect, kindness, and dignity.
Now, we oppose that message, citing child neglect and abuse statistics. With us now, Ethan Nadelman, founder and executive director of the Drug Policy Alliance, who put forth that spot. So, you know, the organization that researches the Center on Addiction and Substance Abuse, they say 70% of abused and neglected children in the USA have alcohol or drug-involved parents. And alcohol and drug-abusing parents are 3 times likelier, 3 times, to abuse their children and neglect their children 4 times as much as regular parents or parents who abstain. So that's why I oppose. Am I irrational in your...
I think so, Bill. I think you are. I mean, here's why. A lot of that stuff is alcohol. It's not the other drugs. You have very few cases of parents smoking too much pot and being called in by child services. That's the first thing. Second is we have laws to deal with child abuse and issues to deal with that. You're not going to argue that we should make alcohol illegal because the majority of child abuse cases involve alcohol abuse.
Well,
right?
let me stop you there. I mean, we have laws that are reactive. They come in after the kid is abused and neglected, not before. And I can't believe that you and your organization, if you really care about kids, want to widen the intoxication net. You know, we already have 10% of Americans alcoholic, 10%. All right, marijuana, you say, oh, they're going to... Parents who are stoned perpetually, all the time, you think they're good parents? Can they be good parents?
Think about it. Millions of people are already using these drugs despite the fact that they're illegal. There are 3 surveys with young people where young people now say it's easier to buy marijuana than it is to buy alcohol. If ever there was an indictment of the failure of marijuana prohibition, that's it.
It's not a matter of failure of anything.
It's not as if we have hordes of Americans waiting to go out and destroy themselves with drugs if simply
it makes it easier to do so if you can buy it at 7-Eleven. It makes it a lot easier to do so.
Are there some risks associated with reducing the penalties? Yes.
Tremendous.
When we're arresting almost 2 million Americans a year, locking up 500,000 people tonight, spending $50 to $100 billion.
Most of those are sellers. Most of those are people who engage in sales.
Out of the 1.8 million people being arrested for drugs, almost 2/3 of those are for simple possession.
And they don't go to jail; they get fined.
No, that's not true.
Most of them don't go to jail. Overwhelmingly, they don't go to jail.
They're not going to state prison for long periods of time. If they're one of the 5 million people under the supervision of parole and probation, they are going to jail or prison.
It costs society a tremendous amount to wage the war on drugs. Okay, I'll cede you that. But when you have these overwhelming statistics of child abuse and neglect, and you say, oh, it's not drugs, it's alcohol, that's bull. Cocaine, heroin, meth, all of those things incapacitate parents. They incapacitate
I can't help wondering where you would have been. Where would Bill O'Reilly of 1931 or 32 been on the debate about repealing alcohol prohibition?
You know, I wouldn't care because I don't engage.
People would have said the crime, the violence, the corruption, Al Capone, millions of Americans violating laws, and they would have talked about the horrors also of alcohol abuse. But ultimately, what's the balanced, sensible, pragmatic policy? You sometimes attack, you say this is a liberal elite issue. But you know as well as I do. You got John Stossel, you got your colleagues
the libertarians
want it. You got William Buckley and Milton Friedman bringing it back from the grave.
Nobody can answer the question about the 70% that are substance involved and abuse and neglect. And society should condemn that and not make it easier for more people to be added.
You want to condemn child abuse and child abuse? Yeah. I agree with you. Let's focus on that issue directly. Why we need to arrest 2 million Americans a year, spend $100 billion a year, put 500,000 people behind bars, be leading the world in incarceration rates in order to deal with that issue? I say deal with that issue directly.
The libertine societies that have tried this, they tried it in England, they tried it in Switzerland, and a lot of other places. It's never worked.
But that's actually false. But that's false. Portugal, right? Succeed.
It's not false.
Switzerland
they
succeed.
Rescinded
I got to
the
tell you though, the average age of the heroin addicts in the Netherlands is 40-something, right? Portugal has reduced the crime. So in fact, the evidence in Europe shows that reducing the reliance on incarceration works.
Okay, so you're not going to reduce child abuse and neglect by legalization.
No, I got to tell you this.
You are not going to reduce it.
Take the money you're spending on prisons.
You're going to expand it. You're going to expand it.
Take the money you're spending on prohibition.
I got to go, Mr.
And focus on that. That's the way to deal with that problem.
All right. We come right back. All right.
Next, the notion that marijuana destroys brain cells may soon go up in smoke. A study at Canada's University of Saskatchewan found that a synthetic chemical derived from marijuana actually makes new cells grow in rat brains, Mr. Capehart. After giving rats high doses of the chemical, researchers found a 40% increase in new brain cell formation. Drugs like alcohol and nicotine suppress the growth of new cells, but the study shows marijuana may actually be good for brain cell growth. Maybe they were smoking pot when they did this study, Jonathan.
Dylan first, Speedo Santas, now pot. Look, maybe I could use some of it.
Yeah.
Were it not illegal.
Well, no, maybe it explains why you're so smart already.
Yeah. Moving right along.
Something to think about. Yes. Finally, is the information age making us less informed? An MRI conducted by Dr. Gary Small, a neurobiologist at UCLA, found that more regions of the brain light up when a person does web searches than when a person reads a book.